Okay, so today I would like to speak a little bit about the terminal and about doing data within terminal. I just hope that the font is large enough for you, because otherwise it will break a bit. So I probably need to keep it like this. Most of the slides would scale, some of them would not. So like everything nowadays starts with some magical button and you ask a question. So maybe there was a naive approach. And with me, why does that not work? Okay, yeah, it started. Okay. So that was the response that my favorite tool gave me. So at least I hope it's an incredible idea to play with data in the terminal. But now, honestly, why would we do it? First, it's very cool if you can like do magical, nice colors and plots and everything in the terminal. Sometimes, and it depends probably from person to person, sometimes the linear workflow that you type commands and something appears, then you type command, again it appears, and you have it all stored like in a scrolling terminal. Makes sense sometimes. It's nice. Sometimes your options about what you can display are limited by you using SSH or being somewhere remote. And also, if you have nice plots in the terminal, you can just copy paste them and put them in your documentation in the code, for example, because it uses the same ASCII characters as you have in your IDE. So those are like basically 4 reasons I found for this. But anyway, it was fun for me to play with it, and some of the things I really use, not just for the purpose of this talk. So let's start with what we already know. And like, if you do any Pythoning, it's the same in the terminal like it is anywhere else. All the libraries work. So we have only a few challenges that we need to overcome. And those challenges are that we need to be able to look at the data somehow. So if you have like very big tables, it's very difficult to look at them in a limited scope of the terminal. While if you have some, I don't know, Excel, whatever, you can do all fancy stuff with it. So it's easier with that. You also are somewhat limited in terms of plotting in the terminal. We will see that later. And also what's a bit as a challenge sometimes, you don't want to type a command for everything that you do. Sometimes you want some more direct user interaction that allows you to browse through your data more quickly. So I'll try to touch all 3 of those aspects in the time. So this is a bit slow, so I probably will need to use the computer instead of the presenter. So let's start first with the tabular data. So let's imagine that I have data like this. So these are some information about the countries in the world. Nice numerical numbers, sometimes strings, whatever. And I want to look at that in the terminal. So of course, if I start with the terminal and I'm regular Unix user, so I just try getting the CSV file that I have of those data, which will do something like this. I don't know, maybe you are able to quickly look at it and compare the values. I don't. So for that, cat is probably not the best tool to looking at your data. So there is another option that's, I would say, cat on steroids, which is bad. By the way, I remember it for a lot of other things, because it also nicely represents code and etc. So it's, if you do bad on some file, it has a lot of coloring and useful things. So if I run that, at least I'm presented with different color for each column. So at least I can like visually, it's like first approach, I can see what I don't know what number belongs to which column. But again, this is not probably the best. So I can, so this, okay, yeah. So these are like my first approaches. But now I have the table and I want to do something with it. Still, I'm not in Python, but still using my general tools in the terminal. If I'm knowledgeable enough, I can try doing some org, set, sort. I don't know these tools. Perhaps ChatGPT would help me, but perhaps maybe I should go to Python directly. I don't actually need to, because there's a tool called XAN, which allows to do a lot of things with CSV files. First of all, it just can show them like this, which looks even better than what we had before. But it also allows a lot of operations. Okay, so sorry, I just randomly exited my presentation, but it doesn't matter. You can sort the data. So my challenge was that I wanted, so this now, what's that? Yeah, so now these countries are selected by the, sorted by the population by this command. Again, why I'm typing Q instead of, okay. And if I want only countries from Asia, I can just search for in the particle column. And you see like this, the XN takes some data, just some little transformation on it, and passes through the pipe somewhere else, and you can view it in the end. So like this is the ultimate thing that I wanted to. So still I have not touched Python, but maybe it's time for me to really do it. So, but no, maybe even there's one more tool that I wanted to show you before going to Python, and that's Visidata, which is actually a very good tool that allows a lot of things to do. First, it does not work only on CSVs, it works on many formats. I think it can also, if you provide it, it can perhaps, I don't know, even connect to the database. I'm not sure, but it really works with a lot of formats, and I'm usually using it for Parquet formats because there's no simple tool for it in Unix. So if I start Visidata like this, I am now in a full data IDE that allows me to go through different columns, browse through them. It allows some operations via keyboard commands or a menu. So if I wanted now the Asian country sorted by population, so I select the population column. I set it to be a number. I can sort it, and I also can select that I want only the Asian region, okay, which I think is like that. Okay. Okay, what's that? Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm just lost in that while typing here. Anyway, and again. Okay, and now I have only the Asian country. So this is like magical tool, and it also does some plotting which I don't understand. So, but like for this simple looking at tabular data, it's a wonderful tool. But if we want ourselves really like we have something computed and then we are now in our Python program and we want to show something, let's see what we can do with that. So let's say that we have some pandas table. For the sake of simplicity, I just load the same table, and I also do the same operation that I saw the countries in Asia by their population. And actually, pandas does not do a bad job. While this is something that if you just print a pandas data frame, you can already look at it and it's reasonable. If you use polars, like I do most times, again, printing it provides something relatively readable. The only thing is that by default, you need to set some limit for the number of rows it displays, which again, now same operation, also quite readable. But what you can also do if you want your output to be a bit prettier, you can use the rich library that is not like special for tables, but it creates some abstraction around your terminal, and it allows printing a lot of things visually nicely. It uses a lot of colors, and among those printable objects are, for example, the data tables. So if you want to show a simple table, you need to construct it. That's one like downside. That's the the API for creating a table is a bit tiresome. You cannot just import a data frame. But if you construct a table like that, it prints something like this. If, of course, like by some simple Python, you can just write a function that basically prints your data frame, which I think will work very similarly for pandas data frame as well. So now, if you have those countries, you can print something that looks even better than it looked before. And so, like, I guess that this table you can even show to someone. Okay. What's that? Yeah, okay. If you want, I have also a very large table there's a database of some cities in the world, and there's like tens of thousands of rows. That's a bit worse. You can print it, but then like it's not very useful if you do it. And also it's not, I had to run it externally because it would not display inside the presentation. It would break the system. Similarly, if you want to create the rich table, you can print it, but not within here. So if you have a large table and you want to look at it, you probably want something interactive, not just like a long list of rows, which I will leave for later, for the last interactive part of the presentation. And I would now switch to visualization. So in here, this time I will take a different approach. I will start with trying to plot something myself, and then I will quickly realize that it's not actually a good idea, and then I perhaps can use something that the libraries provide me with. So your terminal is quite a mighty weapon. It provides you with some relatively large playground. It reports that it has now 118 characters times 29, so it's like a huge thing that you can print on, and if you have a small font and big screen, it's probably even more. Unlike what you might think, it supports all typical terminals supports true color, so you can plot whatever color on that, use it for your characters. Of course, it supports ASCII, so using that for graphical output was used like 50 years ago. You already used symbols like that. Then you have Unicode symbols that you can use. You can also include emoji if you now like want something interesting, and you're probably used to like the linear approach that you print something, and it scrolls. But the terminal also supports a thing that is called the alternate screen, where it does not scroll. It's just like you really print characters directly on the positions in the terminal that you see in front of you. And that's also what the application with user interface typically do in the terminal. So let's try creating a simple bar chart, because that's something that everyone can do, like right in 5 minutes, even without any knowledge about terminals or whatever. So if you want to create a simple bar chart of the most populous countries in Asia, again, the same data set, of course, what you can do is that you find which is the largest, then that will probably fill 40 characters or whatever characters, and then the fractions, and then you select some character that will create a bar chart. So like this. Now, like this is something you can write in 5 minutes. And like honestly, this is something that's like already useful if you want to output something from your script and immediately see what is important and what is not. So that's, if you then are fancy, you can use nice Unicode characters, or you can even use those emoji. And you also probably want to use colors. And so I said, the terminal can use up to those 16 million colors or whatever. But by default, it has 16 defined colors that you can customize yourself while setting those different profiles in your terminal. Then there are 240 additional colors that are like spanning most of the RGB place, but only like 240 of them that the terminal can directly print. And this is a fixed palette, and then you can use those all colors. The way how you can specify colors using the terminal itself is using some sort of something called ANSI escape codes, which is something that is that you basically ask ChatGPT to write for you, because it's like there are some meanings to those numbers that you put, and those special commands will just assure that the text will be red and that the other will be white on green. So probably you don't want to do that. You can even use that to create all those 256 colors that you have, or you can use the true color. But for that, I really recommend using some libraries. I mentioned Rich, which can, when you print characters with Rich, you can specify the colors for them in a reasonable way. So if you, I don't know, if you do put your name of the color in the square brackets, it will just turn the color on, and you can then turn it off, or you can use the full hexa things, etc. Because and you can use either Rage or there are other libraries that do similar thing. I was using Colorama before, but then Rich was useful also for other things, so I switched to Rich. And if you want that, so now you have also, now you are getting also something that's a bit more presentable, quite fast. So, and this is like my last attempt to draw something myself, and that's using the cities table, create a simple scatter plot that shows a map of Czechia. So let's see how far I can do. So I create some big rectangle, like divided by some latitude and longitude, and then I basically, whenever there is a city in the Czechia, I find its position, and then I draw it. So, and starting with the first letter of the name. So that's what you can do if you do it yourself, but perhaps then there is a time to ask a question, aren't we actually reinventing the wheel? And we are, because there are some libraries for plotting in Python in the terminal. There are not so many. They are not so I don't know, user-friendly, I would say, but they provide quite a lot. And so we can have a look at, I will show basically two of them, which is Plotil and Plotext, which I played a bit with. So Plotil was written by someone called Mato Ipen, and the basic idea, perhaps before adding other graphs, was that if you take the Braille characters, you can actually draw lines using Braille characters, because they split your characters into 6 different segments, so you have more fine-grained approach to the screen. So so it's, if you want to draw lines, it's quite actually easy to do with those Braille characters. So what I have here is the weather data for Prague from some time range, and I want to create like a linear plot of the minimum and maximum temperature for each year and draw it in the terminal. And probably not so important to discuss the exact details of the code, because you just create the figure and then plot on it. But that is something that the library allows you to plot, which I don't know, I quite like it. And again, for simple looking at some evolutions, if you want a line plot, it would be very difficult to actually write a function for creating a line plot yourself, especially also the axis descriptions, etc. What it can also do, and there's another example, it can create a histogram, which is, the code for it is even shorter. If I want to create a histogram of those minimum temperatures for all days through this range, I get something like this. So that's, yeah, I mean, if you want a simple plot, especially if the line one, it's quite useful, and you can just take this and copy it somewhere and put it in your code, and like you have a nice thing that you even can put as a command. Plotext is written by someone else, and again, like most of these libraries have like last updates about 2 or 3 years ago, which is unfortunate a bit. I hope that someone will update them later, but I will just basically reproduce the two things that I had there. And so this is again the minimum and maximum temperature. It is using colors now, and like maybe the aesthetics of this is a bit better for me. I don't know if that's like subjective matter maybe, but I like it a bit more. And also the histograms, it also plot histograms, and it can even plot multiple of them in this. Unfortunately, I did not find a way how to create them like half transparent, so that I would have like nice overlap of those two with a purple color or something. That unfortunately. But what if, and that's one cheat that I wanted to show, is we could actually use matplotlib in the terminal, and actually it is possible. And there is one very strange thing that allows to draw directly pixels in the terminal, or putting pictures in them via something that's called Kitty protocol. And whenever you just can put a picture in your terminal. Some of the terminals support it. This is console. It does support it. Some other Linux terminals do. In Windows, I was not having success with that, so I don't know. Maybe you can try if you have Windows. On Mac, it probably works in some of the, I don't know. I tested just. I'm not sure. Maybe you can try. But anyway, if I want, I had this cities map of the Czech Republic, so I now try to do it with the whole world and just putting points. And if I run this, it will take some time. But it's something that I can display directly in terminal. It's not like any window over the terminal or something. It's just like directly in the terminal. And you can scroll. So it's not really, if you run it in the normal mode, you will just have these pictures one above each other. So that's like the last cheat about visualization. And the last thing is that sometimes you have more data than and multiple dimensions, or you want to be more interactive with them. Here, why would anyone need that? Of course, like probably if you want to present your data to someone, it's not something that you want them install something in the terminal and just like browse and use keyboard, instead of like having some nice outputs using JavaScript, etc. But there are some UI in terminal things that I'm using daily. And for example, if I want to look at how my processes work on my computer, this is something that I use daily, HTOP, and basically it's a dashboard. It has some plots in it. It has tables in it. So something like that might be useful. Or yeah. So, but in here, definitely don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try writing anything from scratch that would react to your keyboard or something. And definitely use a library. There are multiple ones. Previously, ncurses was probably used, but today there's a quite nice modern library in Python called Textual, written by McGugan. That is quite modern. It allows you to compose different widgets and components on your screen, or on multiple screens even. You bind them via events. You can use full keyboard with weird keys, etc. You can use mouse even with scrolling, etc. You can CSS style your applications, and the good news is that this works on Windows as well, or different platforms. And by the way, the presentation itself is a textual app. So you take those widgets and you combine them together. So what for us, having different lists, tables, buttons, and etc. is very useful. But what we want is something that shows the data. So probably a data table widget. There's actually one in textual, but is usable only for small data. Because it draws basically everything and just shows what should be shown. So if you have thousands of lines, it draws them somewhere in the memory, but just doesn't show them. So it's not usable. And of course, different containers that you combine, and you can create your widgets or whatever. But because, as I said, the data table widget in textual is not very useful by itself, there is another one called that is an external library, textual fast data table, which is on the other hand very useful. And it's called clear. And if you do that, I can show you a simple textual app that just loads a file and displays it as a table, like what you saw basically with the Wikidata, but without any of those fancy things. So yeah, so you somehow create an app as a class, then you in the compose method you basically return all the widgets you want, and then there is no binding in here but for the quit key that I needed for the application to work, and you just start it. And so if you run that, it will switch to a different mode because but this is a complete app. It's externally started. It's not from within the presentation. So it's a complete app that shows you, that provides you with nice data browser, and it's really like 10 lines of code. Yeah. So, but there is also, if you wanted some plotting, then you can take those plot text plots and you can embed them in a plot text widget that's written by the same guy as the text who wrote texture itself, Will McGugan. It's a wrapper around it. It's not part of texture yet, but I guess because of the unstable API of the library, I would not make it part of it either, probably. But with that, and I think that's the last thing I wanted to show, because it combines a table, something like a table, the interactive views, and also the plots. So now I have I've taken the Prague weather data, and I can select a year, by just clicking or using my commands, and I see, just like an example, one simple stats on the left, like the total precipitation of the year, and then the development of monthly maximum, minimum, and mean temperatures. So I think like this, the code of this application does not fit on one screen, so I'm not showing it here, but it's like 2 or 3 screens, so which is not very difficult either. So if you wanted to do any dashboards, I would definitely recommend using textual and those two external libraries. And I guess with that, I'm basically done. So I tried to show you that you can present tabular data in terminal, that you can to some extent plot the data in terminal, and then that you can even create some simple dashboard apps relatively easily. So, and if you have any questions, I can answer it. If you want to download the talk, you can go to this page. There I also include the link to the libraries that I was mentioning. And yeah, you can download and run it yourself. So, thank you.